It's Friday again, and today I'm gonna be leaving, but you could say by some graces of God, fate, luck, whatever, I have this opportunity to actually make a video and not just, um, not miss again. So, I won't be missing any, hopefully. I won't be missing any because of circumstances that are out of my control. For a while at least. Um, I'd say this week hasn't been the most productive in terms of the goals I wrote down in the journal, but in terms of ideas and trying to understand myself, I'd say it's going a little better. But mostly just because I am just challenging myself with different views. Since there isn't much I can do to actually change my actions right now, I can't build any habits. The best way to actually improve upon myself is to mentally challenge myself by experiencing other, I guess, political views, as well as just other truths that I may not mosquito that I may not have thought about before. And it's been interesting. And mosquito, you swear I hate myself with how much this feels like suffering, but I also realize that the reason I feel like suffering is because I have been subject to multiple parents who are so incredibly narrow-minded at times that it takes a lot to be able to even challenge their own views. And I also seem to have a family that's on two different sides of the political spectrum, and one of which is extreme, something that I've figured I don't like about myself, and the reason that I can even become an extremist, for the most part, is because of being too online, being unemployed, or just being isolated. So, when I get back, that's a very important thing I might have to work on. Just going places and not isolating myself as much, because I definitely isolate myself a lot. Even here, when there's like almost always one other person in the house, I'm constantly isolated. So yeah, it sucks. And let's go ahead and do a little bit of a retrospective on the trip, because I kind of just want to talk and yap. But I realized that I'm really glad we don't have cable, because I fucking hate hearing the news, especially on politics. Coming from a person who doesn't really like either side of the presidential election right now, it in essence is me having to choose the lesser of two evils in my own mind. So that's cool, I suppose. It's really not. I kind of hate it when both presidents are so genuinely or both candidates are so genuinely unlikable that that it becomes difficult for me to choose. But it has also made me come to the conclusion, like fully, because this has been an idea in my head, but this has made me come to the conclusion that the presidential election really is out of my control. Like, it's not something I can really do anything about. It's entirely out of my control. So, instead of trying to sway the election with my one vote, I'm gonna try and actually do stuff with my local government, because that actually matters. Mine is getting much, much heavier. Anywho, other than that, I do want to start expanding my horizons by challenging my own viewpoints, and while I'm still not able to do stuff, just kind of learn. Just learn more. And from that, sort of shape how I think. Oh, yeah, there was also something that I discovered, I believe, last week while I was visiting a friend of mine. I've come to the conclusion that we definitely don't have free will. The idea of free will doesn't exist. Oh my. Alright. I'm going back inside. I was gonna do that all outside. Run light. But very clearly, I cannot. So, I'll just do it the rest in here. But yeah, free will doesn't exist. At least, I don't think it does. I do think willpower in general, and, changing what we do and how we do, is a thing that is possible, and every person is capable of. But I don't think free will as a concept actually exists. Because it's very hard to explain, but in a sense, our brain does things independently of our conscious being, right? Because I'm pretty sure you've heard the classic thing of, now you're breathing, because you are just instinctively breathing. Where do those instincts come from? Well, your brain. Your brain is just doing it. Which means if you're not actively breathing, then you're not doing that of your own will, your own conscious will, anyway. Your brain, instead, is doing it because you need to survive. It's just something that you do. And I'm sure with enough willpower you can stop that, but I don't think it's a good idea. But that is the idea. Because you can change the way your brain works through your own will, by doing certain actions, by conditioning your own brain to think differently. It is possible. You just can't freely do it, because you don't actually have complete control over those parts of your brain. The brain's always doing shit, but you don't necessarily have explicit control over it. It just does things. So, I feel like that is a pretty crucial piece of information, especially for me, who's trying to do better, trying to be better in general. It's an interesting thought, because one, it kind of takes some burden off, the burden of responsibility off of me for certain parts, because some of them have just outright become habits. What can I do then? Well, condition myself to stop doing those habits. And it offers a unique type of freedom that I don't think you get anywhere else, really. Because I firmly believe this. Learning and accepting and fully understanding a piece of knowledge is incredibly freeing. There's nothing more freeing than that. And it is probably the best way to go about life, in my opinion, because the more you learn, the more you have, the more you can use, the more your life can change for the better, and arguably for the worse sometimes, I will admit. But yeah, I think, especially with that piece of information, I should be able to start doing things better. I've also, for a while now, been looking into certain things. Specifically, there's a YouTube channel that does experiments based off of wanting to learn how to draw, and he decides to do 10,000 hours in total, as the bizarre quote of, it takes 10,000 hours to master something, which it doesn't, but he's doing experiments trying to see how he can improve and what he can do to improve. And it's really interesting. It's very interesting to watch, and he even has a backlog of shorts that tell you what he's improving, what tools he's using, and he has plenty of videos talking about what tools he's using. And it's pretty interesting. It is really interesting, and I want to keep following it, and I want to keep using stuff like that to help better myself. I'm not that great at action, but I'd say I'm pretty good at studying. So, at the very least, I can study to prepare for that action. Even though I know that is a trap, a very big trap. You can trap yourself into just learning and not actually doing. So, I'm really pushing myself to do more as well. But I guess aside from that, I don't really have anything else. I'm done yapping. I'll see myself next time.